You're listening to Hatch Classics Love Letters, a Hatch Plus original bedtime podcast designed to help you unwind. For our phone-free immersive bedtime experience, visit hatch.co. Welcome back to Hatch Classics Love Letters. I'm Zakiya Gibbons. If you're just joining us, let me catch you up real quick. Last episode, we met George, our lovesick boykins, and his girlfriend, Harriet. Harriet had gone off to St. Paul to pursue her education, leaving George back at home, writing her letters full of longing, poetry, and just a bit of melodrama. The good news? They were about to reunite for the holidays. I can't wait to hear how it went. It's time to dim the lights, get cozy, and settle in for some good old-fashioned romance. Tonight, I'll dive into a batch of letters from George that start after the new year, 1913. Harriet has returned to school, and I can only imagine what George is feeling. Let's dive in.
January 8th, 1913. My darling wifey. Oh, sweetheart, how I long for you.
Wait, I already have to stop. Did he just call her wifey? I am in awe to see that language being used over 100 years ago. But also, what? They are definitely not married at this point, but clearly they have stepped up in their commitment. I'm so happy for them. Let's continue.
Yesterday I followed you all of the way to St. Paul, and if the train was not late, I got there the same time you did. Oh, darling girlie, how I hope you got there all right, and that you were not so awful tired. But then, dear, I know you couldn't help but be tired, for I kept you up so late. Oh, sweetheart, how I wish I could take care of you all the time, and know then I wouldn't let you get tired if I could help it. My own, it's now after 11, so I must get to bed. Feel these many goodnight kisses, dear, and my whole heart is full of love for you. Good night, my sweetheart. Your boykins. Geo.
Okay, so George says Harriet must be tired because he kept her up so late? What could they have possibly been up to? Cue Ariana Grande's Side to Side. Just kidding. It's 1913. I'm sure they were just, staring into each other's eyes in the moonlight. Whatever it was, it must have been good because George is already missing Harriet like crazy. Let's see where this goes.
January 12th, 1913. My dear, dear girlie. Oh, darling. I wonder if you have longed for me as I have for you today. Tonight after supper, I washed my head and had to stand home until it got dry. And my own, do you know what my thoughts were? What wouldn't I give to have you safe in my arms and be sure you were truly mine? For darling, it just seems as though every day you are gone, I am losing you that much more. It seems that you are being taken away from me. I don't think it, I just have that vague feeling that you will find someone more worthy of you, one you deserve. I don't know what makes it, but at times it comes creeping onto me and almost drives me wild. Oh, darling, if I could only prove to you how much I love you and how I long to make you oh so happy. Oh, why am I not more like some other men? I am afraid I had better stop, for I am in a poor mood to write to the best little girl in this wide world, one that I love with my whole heart and soul. If I could only hold you close in my arms and give you the many goodnight kisses, kisses given with oh so much love. Good night, dear, dear sweetheart. Your lonesome boykins. Geo.
Oof. It took just 4 days for poor George to spiral. This can't have been enough time for Harriet to have responded to his last letter, right? But honestly, I get it. Harriet's off in a new city, meeting new people, maybe even new men. And George is stuck in his head, worried he isn't enough for her. But from what I can see, George is a great catch. Hardworking, loving, willing to be vulnerable. I have faith Harriet is fully aware of that. On to the next letter.
January 23rd, 1913. My darling girl, here it is, Thursday night, and not a word from you. And the last I did hear you were coming down with pleurisy. Oh, my very own, what I wouldn't give to know just how you are tonight. Oh, darling, if you would just have someone write me a few words. I have not slept at all the last 2 nights, and I don't think it will do me any good to go to bed tonight. It has been so hard for me to do my work, and why shouldn't it when every indication is that you, the only girl in the whole wide world for me, are awful sick? How I haunt the post office, and how I watch for every train to come in. Oh, if I could get only a few words. If you only knew how much I want to be taking care of you. My prayers are that you will soon be well again, and that you are not suffering very much. My heart aches so I can hardly stand it. Oh, I hope you will soon be all right. Good night, my precious sweetheart. Your lovesick boykins, Geo.
Pleurisy? Here, I was thinking Harriet was spending her time evading eligible bachelors left and right, but instead, she's been under the covers coughing a lung out in the dead of winter. And George can't even Uber Eats her some chicken noodle soup. This poor man just wants proof she's okay. Let's move on to hopefully healthier times for them both.
February 16th, 1913. My own dear girlie. I wonder what my dear has been doing today, and if she is now doing what I am. This has been such a grand day here, but very little have I been able to enjoy it. For as usual on Sundays, I get up with the most awful headache, and that is what I have had today. Oh, darling, how I long for you, and how I long to go home to you after my day's work and rest where I can have you near to talk to and to look at your dear face. During the nights as I work, I can see you sitting on a big mat in front of our fireplace and me laying with my head in your lap, and I close my eyes and I can just feel your darling fingers in my hair. But sweetheart, maybe we won't have a fireplace or as nice a house as we would like to have. But my own dear girlie, we will be happy just the same, won't we, sweetheart?
Okay, pause. I loved that fireplace imagery, George. I wonder what Harriet thinks about all this. She strikes me as someone who would smile sweetly, but would want to circle back to the practical stuff. Like, George, that's cute, but do we have a plan for this not as nice house? What's the budget? Where's the mat going? Let's skip to the end. There's a postscript with this one.
Good night, my dear sweetheart, for I must get to bed now. Your own Boykins, Geo. P.S. I just reread your last Sunday letter again, and in it you said you, quote, heard the talk on a young woman's ideal man. I take it that he described what a young woman's ideal man should be? Now, what do you think of the boy you have chosen for your life's mate? Now be frank, for it always pays. Geo.
Yikes. She better butter him up when she answers that question. Also, can we all take a moment to appreciate that Harriet is writing back? But what kind of education is she getting? Please tell me it's more than just how to find a husband 101. Okay, I've got time for one more letter. This one's written just a week later. Let's get into it.
February 23rd, 1913. My own dear. Sweetheart, I know you have wanted some more letters last week. But dear, I have been having an awful time with my cash, and it put me behind some with my work. We had a bad snowstorm here Friday, and oh, how I wanted to be home with you that night. I always long for you when it storms. It seems as though we can have each other more then, because we are shut out from everything. Do I love you, dear? Sweetheart, I might write lots of words, but none of them could express the feeling I have for you. My dear, why can't the year to come have the same sweetness that our first 2 years had? Is it because you think I have changed? Or is it that you are just a little disappointed in me? That I am not quite what you thought I was? It would be perfectly natural for you to have this feeling after the schooling you are getting, and after meeting the real men you meet up there. You wrote, quote, "I can remember that I was happy in just looking at you and realizing that you had really given your whole heart to me, and these years have proven it now fully than I then thought." Those lines seem to say, "Gio, I can no longer be happy in looking and realizing that your heart is all mine. You must hurry and make something more of yourself." And then again, I think I read between the lines that you think, when I get out to earn our living, that I will forget my dear wife and home. God forbid that I ever do that. Oh, my dear girlie, if I can only make you happy. My sweetheart, it is most awful cold up here, so I must stop now. Dearest, you know my whole heart and soul is wholly yours, don't you, dear? Oh, if I could only hold you in my arms and give you the kisses I am sending. Good night, my sweetheart, and don't forget how much your lonesome Boykins loves you. Your very own Boykins. Gio.
Whoa. Harriet clearly isn't making George feel safe in their relationship. Like, did she really ask him if he loved her? This poor man. He's running out of ways to express it. But something is disappointing Harriet. I think what this comes down to is that she isn't satisfied with George's work-life balance. Does this letter convince Harriet that their relationship is built to last? And when will these two see each other IRL again? Those questions and more will be answered in our next episode. Good night, everyone. Don't miss Hatch Classics Love Letters, only on Hatch Plus. For more Hatch Plus original bedtime podcasts designed to help you unwind, find us at hatch.co.